Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Today, we're going deep on something that we've been hearing a lot about, especially from those of you planning for retirement, gold IRAs. We're going to be checking out what they are, how these gold IRAs work, and whether they could be a good fit for your retirement plan. And if you're serious about this and want to learn more, grab our free checklist over at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It's full of tips to help you pick the right gold IRA company.
Definitely something to look into, especially with what's going on in the economy these days.
For sure. So let's start with the basics. We hear a lot about diversifying our portfolios as we get closer to retirement. Why is that so important? And how does a gold IRA fit into all of this?
Well, think of it like this. While you're working, you're always making money. But when you retire, that stops, and you're using your savings to support you. That's why it's so important to make sure your savings are protected and in a position to grow.
That makes sense. So you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. And that's what diversification is all about. You spread your investments across different types of assets that react differently to the economy. Helps to reduce risk and protect your wealth from market ups and downs.
So if the stock market goes down, having some assets in something more stable can soften the blow.
That's the idea. A well-diversified portfolio isn't just about stocks and bonds. It can include real estate and commodities. And, yep, even precious metals like gold.
Okay, so that's where gold IRAs come into play. But before we get into the details, can you give us a quick definition of what a gold IRA is?
Sure, it's basically a self-directed IRA that lets you hold physical gold, like bullion coins or bars, or other precious metals like silver, platinum, or palladium, all within a tax-advantaged retirement account.
So instead of having all your retirement savings in things like stocks and bonds, you're holding some of it in something you can actually touch, something that has value on its own.
Exactly. And a key advantage of a gold IRA is that it can act as a hedge against inflation. We all know that inflation eats away at the purchasing power of our money over time. But gold has historically held its value really well during times of inflation.
So it's kind of like an insurance policy for your savings to make sure they don't lose value over time.
That's a great way to put it. Let's say you retire today and you need a certain amount of money each month to cover your bills. But as inflation goes up, those bills are going to cost more, and your fixed income might not be enough. But gold tends to keep up with inflation, so it can help you maintain your buying power over the years.
That's reassuring, particularly with all the talk about inflation in the news lately.
Absolutely. And it's not just about inflation. Gold can also be a safe haven asset during times of economic uncertainty.
We've all heard about gold being a safe haven, but what does that really mean?
Well, when there's a stock market crash or a recession or some kind of global instability, investors tend to run towards gold as a store of value. This higher demand can push up the price of gold, which could help you offset losses in other parts of your portfolio.
So while your stocks and bonds are going down, your gold could be holding steady or even increasing in value.
That's right. And that brings us back to diversification. Adding gold to your retirement portfolio can help reduce your overall risk by bringing in an asset that doesn't follow the same patterns as the stock market.
What do you mean by doesn't follow the same patterns?
It means that its performance isn't tied directly to the stock market or other traditional investments. So if the stock market is down, gold might be up or the other way around.
So it's like having a plan B, way to spread out your risk and protect your savings from big swings in the market. I'm starting to see why a lot of people getting ready for retirement are thinking about this.
Yeah, it definitely gives people a sense of peace of mind, especially as they move into retirement and depend more on their savings.
It seems like gold IRAs have a lot to offer, especially for people who want to spread out their investments, protect against inflation, and maybe add some stability during uncertain economic times. It's certainly something to think about.
It is, but before you jump in, it's important to understand how gold IRAs work, how to choose the right provider, and how to avoid scams. There's a lot to learn.
That's a good point. And if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember to check out our free checklist at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. We made it to help you navigate the world of gold IRAs and make informed decisions that line up with your retirement goals.
It's a great tool for anyone thinking about adding gold to their retirement plan.
Okay, so we've talked about how gold IRAs can be a valuable tool for retirement planning. But I'm sure there are a lot of misconceptions about them out there. What are some of the common myths you hear?
One of the most common is that gold is a risky investment. People see the price go up and down and assume it's unstable. But if you look at the long-term performance of gold, it's actually been quite strong.
I've heard that before, but it doesn't seem to make sense. Don't gold prices change all the time?
They do, just like anything else. But those short-term changes are often driven by speculation and how people are feeling about the market. The true value of gold is in its ability to hold its worth over time, especially when the economy is struggling.
So it's not about getting rich quickly. It's about protecting your buying power in the long run.
Exactly. Another myth is that gold IRAs are complicated to set up and manage.
I can see why people would think that. It sounds more difficult than just opening a regular brokerage account.
It might seem that way at first, but the process is pretty straightforward. You pick an IRS-approved custodian who specializes in gold IRAs. You put money into the account either by rolling over money from another account or by making a direct contribution. You choose your precious metals, and then they're stored safely in an IRS-approved depository.
So it's not like I'm going to have to hide gold bars under my mattress or something.
Oh, definitely not. And a lot of custodians offer helpful services and guidance through the whole process, making it even easier. You're not alone in this.
That's good to know. So it's more about picking the right partner to help you through it.
Precisely. And that brings us to another myth, that gold IRAs have really high fees that eat into your returns.
That's a valid concern. Fees can really add up over time.
Absolutely. But while there are fees for gold IRAs, just like any other investment account, they're often very similar to what you'd pay for other retirement accounts. You're paying for the service, the expertise, the secure storage, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing your assets are safe.
So it's not about avoiding fees completely. It's about making sure you're getting your money's worth.
Exactly. And that's why choosing a trustworthy and transparent provider is so important.
Speaking of choosing the right provider, what are some warning signs people should watch out for? I'm sure there's some shady companies out there trying to cash in on people's interest in gold.
You're right about that. There are definitely some bad actors out there who take advantage of people who don't know a lot about this. One of the biggest red flags is high-pressure sales tactics. If a company is trying to push you into making a quick decision or making promises that sound too good to be true, be careful.
That's good advice for any investment. If they seem pushy, it's probably a good idea to back off and do some research.
Exactly. Another red flag is a lack of transparency. If a company isn't clear about their fees, their storage methods, or their whole process, that's a big warning.
So if they're avoiding your questions or not giving you straight answers, run away.
Absolutely. And always check for customer reviews and testimonials. See what other people are saying about their experience with the company. A good gold IRA provider should have a history of happy clients.
That's a great point. It's like checking online reviews before you buy anything these days. You want to know what others have experienced?
Exactly. And make absolutely sure the provider uses IRS-approved depositories to store your precious metals. You don't want to end up with your gold in some sketchy, unsecured warehouse.
That's a good point. Security is so important. You're trusting them with a big chunk of your retirement savings.
For sure. And finally, don't underestimate how important good customer service is. You want a provider who is responsive, helpful, and able to walk you through every step of the way. Setting up and managing a gold IRA can seem overwhelming. So having a knowledgeable and helpful team there with you makes a big difference.
It sounds like picking the right gold IRA provider is just as crucial as deciding to invest in gold in the first place.
You're right. It's a partnership, and you want to be sure you're working with someone you trust, someone who's looking out for your best interests.
And if you're feeling lost in the process, that's where our free checklist comes in. Go to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive to download it. It'll show you the key things to look for in a good provider and help you avoid those warning signs we've been talking about.
It's a handy tool to have when you start checking out your options.
Okay, so we've covered the basics of how gold IRAs work and how to choose a provider. But let's get into why someone would choose to do this. Can you give some real-life examples of how people have used gold IRAs to reach their financial goals? You mentioned some case studies earlier.
Sure. Let's talk about John. He's a retired guy who had most of his money in stocks and bonds, a pretty typical portfolio. But John lived through the 2008 financial crisis, and he saw how quickly a market crash can wipe out savings. It was a real eye-opener for him.
I bet. That was a scary time for everyone.
It was, and it made John realize that he needed to diversify his portfolio and find a way to protect some of his savings from future market crashes. He wanted something that would hold its value, even if the stock market tanked again. And that's when he started thinking about gold IRAs.
So he was looking for that safe haven aspect you discussed earlier, a way to potentially offset losses in his other investments.
Exactly. He decided to move some of his 401k into a gold IRA, which let him invest in real gold and hold it in a tax-advantaged retirement account. This gave him some peace of mind, knowing that part of his savings was in a real asset an asset that has a long history of preserving wealth.
That's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
It shows how a gold IRA can be used to address specific worries and achieve certain goals. It's not a solution for everyone, but it can be a really powerful tool for people who are looking to protect their money.
Definitely. And then there's Linda. She's a wealthy retiree who was mainly concerned about inflation. She'd worked really hard and saved a lot, but she was worried that inflation would eat away at her buying power over time, making it tough for her to maintain her lifestyle in retirement.
That's a worry for lots of folks, especially with how prices have been going up.
It is, and Linda understood that even a little bit of inflation each year can really add up over time and significantly lower the value of your savings. So she decided to use a gold IRA to protect herself from inflation.
So she was hoping that as the cost of living went up, the value of her gold would also go up, helping her keep her buying power.
Exactly. For Linda, it wasn't about getting rich quick. It was about protecting the money she'd already saved and making sure that inflation wouldn't eat away at it. Her gold IRA was a way to protect her lifestyle and enjoy her retirement without constantly worrying about the rising cost of things.
Those are two really interesting examples of how gold IRAs can be used to reach different financial goals. It's not just about gold, it's about how it fits into your overall retirement plan and how it can meet your specific needs.
Yeah, you got it. Gold IRAs aren't a magical solution to all your problems, but they can be a valuable tool for people who want to diversify their investments, protect against inflation, and maybe add some stability during uncertain economic
It
times.
sounds like it's all about striking the right balance, finding the mix of assets that works for your risk tolerance, your financial objectives, and your vision for retirement.
Precisely. And that's where a financial advisor can be a huge help. They can help you figure out your needs, explore your options, and come up with a strategy tailored to your situation.
So it's not just about jumping on the gold bandwagon, it's about figuring out if and how gold fits into your personal retirement plan.
That's a great way to put it. It's all about making educated decisions that are right for you.
And that's what we're all about here at Gold IRA Blueprint. We want to give you the knowledge and resources you need to make those decisions confidently.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your financial future.
And if you're ready to take the next step and look into gold IRAs in more detail, remember to download our free checklist at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It's loaded with tips on choosing the right provider and avoiding those red flags we mentioned.
It's a valuable tool that can help you through the process more confidently.
It really is all about being in charge of your financial future
Yeah.
and making choices that match your vision for retirement.
Yeah.
So as we finish up our deep dive into gold IRAs, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about. With everything happening in the economy right now, all the uncertainty and the talk about a possible recession, how could adding a gold IRA to your portfolio affect your retirement plan?
That's a great question. It really makes you think about your own financial goals and how different approaches could help you reach them. We've talked about how gold can protect you from inflation and economic trouble, but it's important to figure out how comfortable you are with risk, how long you plan to invest, and your overall financial picture.
It's not a one-size-fits-all answer, as we've said, but it's definitely worth considering, especially if you're looking for ways to spread out your investments and maybe find some stability when things are unpredictable.
Absolutely. And remember, a gold IRA is just one part of your retirement plan. It's important to have a plan that covers all your financial needs.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And that's where working with a financial advisor you trust can be so helpful. They can help you figure out what you need, create a plan just for you, and walk you through setting up and managing a gold IRA if it's right for you.
Totally agree. Having an expert guide you through this can make a huge difference when it comes to navigating the complexities of planning for retirement and making sure you're on track to reach your financial goals.
Great advice. So just to recap, gold IRAs can be a helpful tool for people in retirement who want to diversify their investments, protect against inflation, and potentially add stability during times of uncertainty. But like with any investment, you need to do your homework, understand the risks and the benefits, and pick a provider you can trust.
And don't forget about that free checklist we talked about earlier. You can get it at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. It's full of tips on how to choose the right gold IRA company and how to avoid potential problems. It's a good place to start if you're thinking about this option.
Absolutely. It's a valuable resource, and we encourage everyone to check it out.
Well, it's been great being here today and sharing what I know about gold IRAs. I hope our listeners found this deep dive informative and helpful as they plan for their financial futures.
It's been a fantastic conversation. Thanks for being here and sharing your knowledge,
My pleasure.
and all of you listening. Thanks for tuning in to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Remember, the more you know about your retirement options, the better prepared you'll be to make smart decisions. Decisions that line up with your goals. So keep learning, keep exploring, and keep working towards that secure and fulfilling retirement you deserve. We'll be back next time with another deep dive into a topic that's important for your financial well-being. Until then, happy investing.